Wow, that right there is a major trucker protest happening right now in Canada that has raised over $4 million to fight the Canadian government, a story that you're hearing very little about. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. This is Luke Rudowski here of WeAreChange.org, and we got a lot of very important information to get into, as of course there's more troubling developments geopolitically, especially with American foreign policy, as our leaders are literally stuffing their face with ice cream. We're going to be talking about that. Plus a lot more important international news, as of course there's a major movement underway. What are they protesting? What are they going against? Well, of course, what some people have called the Great Reset, or, the consortium of globalist Davos attending super wealthy technocrats that literally are trying to impose their vision of how they want the world to be on to you. Is it a theory that these individuals exist and influence their will onto the rest of the world? No. They openly brag about it, like this video that is making the rounds on the internet right now from 2017, showing top globalist Klaus Schwab talking to a very prominent Bohemian Grove member, David Gergen, and admittedly bragging about how the World Economic Forum, quote, penetrated over half of the cabinets of governments in France and Canada, and how they're trying to infiltrate other governments. And they even said how they were very happy about the results that they were getting when their people were in government. And when you look at those particular governments, they are dealing with massive protests that, of course, are against these types of draconian governments that, of course, disrespect the will of the human beings living inside of them. As, of course, in Quebec, Canada, you have to be accompanied by a staff member in a store in order to make sure that you're complying with the totalitarian whims of the government there and their domestic passport system. This is an Orwellian, despotic form of leadership, which perfectly represents what these guys want to achieve. Other countries who don't follow in these same footsteps, they get threatened, they get extorted. There's economic hitman turned against them, as of course right now the IMF is urging El Salvador to remove Bitcoin as legal tender, and the society that they are trying to create is, of course, the one already in existence in China, a country that, of course, tightly controls everything in the way people exist and live their lives, to the point where they are literally editing out new endings of movies like Fight Club that literally get rid of the larger anarchistic message of that movie. And if it's not Fight Club they're after, they're also after Keanu Reeves, who's facing a major Chinese boycott right now, as of course he is going to be participating in an upcoming benefit for Tibet. When you look at China, this is what perverse statists in the United States want for you, your family, and your children, and they do it every step of the way with fourth, fifth generational warfare that is conducted against you in many ways where you don't even know you are the larger victim of it. Again, I have a lot more to say about this, and I am specifically going to be talking about this agenda as well as what's happening to our children on LukeUncensored.com in a brand spanking new video coming out later on today on our own platform, where we get to say and do what we want. And holy cow, the stories that we want to cover are absolutely groundbreaking and sadly contain bigger truths which we can't even mention here on this platform. Again, lots to talk about. Don't forget to sign up and join our platform right now on LukeUncensored.com. And if you want to support us in other ways, another one is by simply checking out our t-shirt store, thebestpoliticalshirts.com, where you can get shirts like the one I'm wearing right now, standing in solidarity with the Canadian truckers, declaring that people should say no to the Great Reset. Those shirts are also available down in the description below. Now, I think it's very fair to assume that there has been a concerted effort trying to push the United States in a conflict with Russia for a very long time. There's a lot of voices, whether neoconservative or neoliberal, that have been advocating for this for a very long time. But I think people fail to realize how absolutely dramatically catastrophic that would be, not only for, of course, Ukraine, that's being used as a proxy for all of this, but of course also for the rest of Europe and also, of course, the United States, especially when you consider the absolute incompetent and corrupt leadership that we have in the West right now. We have an absolute recipe for disaster. Biden withheld money from Ukraine until they caved and fired a prosecutor who was investigating a corrupt energy company where his son sat on the board of, publicly even bragging about it. When you have leadership like that, you have leadership that does not give a damn about the people that they are serving, but of course their own special interest, and there are a lot of special interests that are set to gain throughout all of this, especially with the more disastrous that it turns out to be for everyone else. Now, the Biden administration is making very strong statements about our duty, our responsibility in protecting the borders of Ukraine. Meanwhile, they don't even respect the borders of their own country. Now, diplomatically, things have broken down to the point where now the Biden administration sent a letter to Russia instead of course, holding face-to-face meetings. This letter is a proposal to Russia on a path forward. What's exactly in that letter? Well, we don't know yet, but I think it's fair to say that this administration's foreign policy has been absolutely atrocious and extremely counterintuitive to not only American interests, but of course to the interests that they say that they want to protect. Look at Afghanistan as the perfect example of this, but still, there are some bureaucrats, statists within our government that are demanding war, no matter what the consequences of. Not surprisingly, even a lot of Republican legislators that are essentially demanding that there should be blood. The Biden administration is also making a lot of promises that it cannot keep, since, of course, if there is a conflict between the East and the West, even in a proxy state, Russia will, of course, most likely use their gas supply as a bargaining chip and most likely turn off the gas, the energy for the rest of Europe, since Europe is dependent on Russian energy, especially since, of course, many countries like Germany have pledged to get rid of their nuclear power plants, all in the name of helping the environment, as, of course, they keep buying more and more Russian energy that, of course, is significantly way worse off for the environment. Again, what Germany here is doing is absolutely nonsensical and ridiculous. But if there is a proxy war, a limited war, this would, of course, leave a lot of people in Europe stranded without energy, without heat, for some severe months of winter that are still left with them. And because of that, the President of the United States, ice cream eating Joe Biden, announced that he has a plan to help supply Europe of natural gas if Vladimir Putin cuts off their supply, and that's a lie. It's impossible for the U.S. president to do so, not only because of the physical distance between the United States and Europe, but because we don't have that much natural gas to give to Europe. So we have another major lie by this administration trying to cover up its incompetency by being more incompetent. Winter months in Europe without heat, without energy, would be catastrophic and would, of course, also signal other turn of events like China seeking an opportunity to go after Taiwan. All of this would have huge negative ramifications for the United States and their world hegemony, and also the financial markets, which already are in a very serious downswing. This, along with trillions of dollars of debt that's unpayable, is something that, of course, could lead to another financial economic crisis that would hit the entire world. But still, the U.S. administration isn't unfazed here, as they just announced thousands of troops to be put on heightened alert. The Biden administration is even seeking to get more military personnel near Russia, as of course everyone's watching by as this insanity unfolds, as of course it's a guessing game to see what will happen from here. Again, the situation's very dynamic, it's changing very fast, but it's something that of course we should be keeping an eye on and trying to hope for the best, calling for diplomacy, which there still is a possibility of unfolding. I think from my assessments, things could go either way here. I definitely do think there's a probability for, quote, limited war, as appropriated by the Henry Kissinger doctrine. And of course, this would be a perfect distraction towards the world realizing that they were just conned. But that's just my perspective. I hope I'm wrong. If you think I am, let me know down in the comment section below. truly another vital, dangerous situation that we're all in, as we're all on edge, waiting to find out what happens with these sociopaths in power. Yeah, so fair to say, I'm not reassured. I got a lot more to say about this, plus a lot more. I'm going to be doing that later on today on LukeUncensored.com. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys watching, sharing these videos, getting them out there to the general public, and because you do, I'm still here. This is why I love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on WeAreChange.org.